I was in disbelief when I saw the news about this because everything that came out happened so quick. But the passing of Kyle Busch has so many red flags that it's not even funny. So recently, they just announced that on his 911 call, he was coughing up blood a day prior to his passing, which is already very odd. Right before the season, his stool exploded. That's a very interesting way to put it. I've never heard of a stool exploding. And he suffered a severe leg injury where he bled a lot. Again, very, very odd things happening in a short amount of time. And we'll get into why. During his last points race, he had this very interesting radio communication where he said he needed to see a doctor after the race at Watkins Glen and that he needed I don't know what the fuck they put in there, but apparently it damn sure didn't help. Because mind you, this all started as a sinus infection, a simple sinus infection, which sinus infection Illuminati equals 69. But how this escalated so rapidly from just a simple sinus infection, cold, whatever, to him being hospitalized, coughing up blood and all this stuff is rather fishy.
Kyle Busch has been suffering from a sinus cold all week. Lost 5 spots on that pit stop. He has asked to have medical attention available after the race. Here's his radio.
And can somebody try to find Bill Heisel? He's the Hendrick doctor guy. Tell him I need him after the race, please.
Hey, do you want Mr. Bill at your car and at your bus after the race?
Bus. I'm gonna need a shot.
Copy. He'll be at your bus.
Back to that 69. Kyle Busch got his 69th Truck Series win last Friday at Dover. And in that post-race interview, had some rather interesting things to say. All of this stuff that hints at him knowing that his fate was going to be closing very soon.
5th, right here. Why do these moments never get old, Kyle?
Because you never know when the last one is, So I know all too well, unfortunately.
Now, the biggest red flag was that Kyle and his wife were involved in a lawsuit against Pacific Life Insurance.
Kyle Busch has filed a lawsuit against an insurance company over an alleged $8.5 million retirement scheme. Kyle and Samantha Busch claim Pacific Life Insurance and an agent misrepresented policies as tax-free retirement plans that would provide secure income for the family's future. The lawsuit was filed in North Carolina's Lincoln County and claims the Bushes paid over $10 million on false promises of guaranteed returns. The family lost well over $8 million in the deal. Attorneys claim the company violated North Carolina's Unfair and Deceptive Trade Policies Act. Kyle said the situation was a financial trap. Samantha added the experience has made her worried for other families planning for retirement, including teachers, police officers, and people in any profession. The case was filed on October 14th. Pacific Life has not legally responded to the lawsuit.
Samantha and I are at one of the major news stations here in New York City. And as many of you may have seen, we have a press release out that we are in litigation with Pacific Life in regards to IUL policies and insurance policies that are also retirement policies for planning for our future. And unfortunately, ours did not go well.
Yeah, as you'll hear when this broadcast comes out, it was a major scam. We tried to do what we thought was best for our family, for Brexton and Lennox. We were trying to be financially responsible for them and plan for our future. And little did we know that by investing money in this scam, it's all gone. And so the reason we came out here today is, as you guys know, who've followed us for a while, every time God puts a struggle in our path, we're going to try to use it for good. And so we're out here speaking out about what happened, because this just isn't happening to athletes and celebrities. Right. This is happening to teachers, police officers, veterans. This is happening to widows. These are people who are 70 years old. They have nothing else to fall back on. These are people who are, they've worked hard, they've made a small business, they are ready to retire, and they buy into these scams and they lose absolutely everything. And so, Kyle and I will use this platform to try to do all the good that we can. And so we're going to keep fighting Pacific Life, and we're going to show the world that this was a huge and utter scam.
They would end up winning the settlement for $8.5 million. But shortly after that, that's when Kyle Busch would pass away from this severe illness, just out the blue. Very similar to Kobe Bryant. He was involved in a lawsuit with Big Pharma, and poof, gone. There you go. Helicopter crash. Kobe's gone. 41 years old. Same age Kyle Busch passed away at, 41 years old. both associated with the number 8. Kobe wore 8 before 24. Kyle Busch went from, well, initially 84, 5, 18. Last number he wore, number 8. Both same initials too, KB. And speaking of settlements, let's not forget about Michael Jordan's settlement that he won against NASCAR in the offseason, which has resulted in a lot of success for 2311 Racing to start this season off. They won the first 3 races of the year. They currently have 5, with Tyler Reddick winning all of them, one of which was the Daytona 500. Well, Michael Jordan ended up touching Reddick's son and all that stuff, and there was a whole media uproar about that. Mind you, this same race team, 2311, is also co-owned by Denny Hamlin, who has ties to Kyle Busch because he was one of his former teammates. But since this settlement, the one involving Michael Jordan, specifically, 3 drivers have passed away. Michael Annett, Greg Biffle, which was a plane crash the night the Seahawks beat the Rams in that Thursday night football thriller, where, of course, the Seahawks would benefit and win the Super Bowl as well. But that plane crash is very similar to the way Kobe Bryant went out, because it wasn't just Greg Biffle, it was multiple people involved. And now the third NASCAR driver being Kyle Busch. Also in the last month, actually less than the last month, the NASCAR CEO changed from a France family member for the first time to a non-France family member. All of this stuff happening in a very short amount of time. And there's a lot of rituals involved at play for NASCAR. And usually they don't have a whole bunch of shit going on like this at once. The last time I can recall was the Bubba Wallace, Kyle Larson, the whole N-word thing, them finding the noose at Talladega, the George Floyd, all that. That was the last time I saw anything that big. But this is NBA, NFL levels. And mind you, they had their shit too in the last couple of weeks. Obviously, the NBA, Brandon Clark and Jason Collins. But back to Kyle Busch, he won his final Truck Series race 6 days before his passing with the team he started his Cup career with, or a team affiliated. Spire Motorsports is affiliated with Hendrick Motorsports. That's who Kyle Busch got his Cup Series start with, driving the 84 and full-time the 5 car before going to Joe Gibbs Racing and RCR. I mentioned before the Eerie post-race press conference, and he even doubled down in a later post-race press conference where they're sitting in the press room, and he joked about 69 being the number he gonna end with in the Truck Series, which it was. Kyle Busch drove the 5 car for Rick Hendrick, which I mentioned, the 18 for Joe Gibbs Racing, and the 8. And you're gonna see these numbers a lot as I'm talking about this shit. And with the number 8, I already mentioned the connection he had with Kobe Bryant with that number, but also with Dale Sr., who is on the shirt. Dale Sr. drove for Richard Childress Racing whenever he passed. He drove the 3 car. His son Dale Jr. drove the 8 for the then RCR affiliated team, Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. This time around, Austin Dillon, Richard Childress's grandson, drives the 3 car, just like Dale did previously. And Kyle Busch drove the 8 car, and ironically, Kyle Busch had a history with Dale Jr. when he drove the 18 car, because he famously wrecked him at Richmond, and that's when Kyle Busch became the villain, because he wrecked the fan favorite. And that was back when Dale was driving the 88 for Hendrick. Busch passed away 21 years after his first Truck Series race on the 21st of May, and the driver that replaced him being Austin Hill, who drives the 21 car in the O'Reilly/Xfinity Series. That 21 again. And before that, Austin Hill previously drove the 33 Cup car for Richard Childress Racing, and you already know that's a Freemasonic number, one of the big ones, that big 33. And it's giving me Kevin Harvick replacing Dale Sr. vibes a little bit. And ironically, I came across this article where they were talking about, is there a path for Austin Hill to get to the Cup Series? And lo and behold, this shit happens. And I'm not saying Austin Hill going to win the Coca-Cola 600 on Sunday or Monday if it rains. But if it does happen, you already know what the fuck they're going to do. It's going to be in honor of Kyle Busch. It's going to be this whole emotional thing, this storyline. And there's going to be some very strong rigging allegations, which NASCAR has had a few, especially this year with all the wins that 2311 has had. So that would only fuel that more. But if not this weekend, I do expect that 8 car to make it to victory lane at some point this season for the layup storyline for Kyle Busch, then part of the ritual. Now, his former teammate, Denny Hamlin, who I mentioned earlier, won the All-Star race 2 days after Busch won his final Truck Series race. Mind you, in the offseason, Denny Hamlin lost his father in a house fire. And during his postseason run last year, His dad was fatally ill, and that was one of the main storylines for Denny Hamlin. And he was finally turning into a fan favorite, and people were liking him because he's been universally hated for years. His dad did not pass during the postseason last year, and Denny Hamlin did not end up winning that championship. Kyle Larson ended up winning that championship, and Denny Hamlin was denied yet again of that NASCAR championship, feeling like a Dan Marino, great driver, but doesn't have the hardware, the big one, to finally solidify himself as one of the greats in that sense. But ironically, that Kyle Larson 5 car goes back to what was the first full-time number that Kyle Busch drove. Again, Hendrick Motorsports, number 5. Crazy how that works out. And further, with Denny Hamlin in an all-star race, he ended up passing the 19 car, which is his teammate Chase Briscoe, to win that race 2 days later. And Kyle Busch died 19 days after his birthday on May the 2nd. Currently, Denny Hamlin's race team, or Michael Jordan Denny's race team, 2311, has 5 wins on the season, which goes back to that number 5 linked to both Kyle Larson, and Busch. And not to mention this, Kurt Busch, Kyle's older brother, the last Cup team he drove for was 2311 Racing in 2022, which is a team co-owned by Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan. Go fucking figure. The timing of a lot of this stuff is even crazy when you look at all the things that happened in May. Not even just the racing things, but birthdays. Kyle Busch celebrated his birthday on May the 2nd. His youngest son, Lennox's birthday on May the 10th. And then on top of that, his oldest son, Brexton's, on May the 18th. So peep this shit. Brexton was born on the 18th, like Kyle Busch's Joe Gibbs racing number when he drove the M&M's car, 18. Kyle passed 19 days after his birthday. Just like I mentioned, Denny Hamlin passed the 19 car to win the All-Star race last Sunday. Lennox's birthday is 11 days before Kyle's passing. Denny Hamlin drove the 11 car. Kyle's wife's birthday is June 1st, 11 days after Kyle Busch's passing. Again, Hamlin's car number again, 11. The date numerology of this man's passing was 18. Again, Kyle's most famous racing number. So all of these things are not coincidences, whether you slice it with any of that stuff I just mentioned. The Kobe connection with the 41, the KB initials, the number 8, they both being involved in lawsuits, then poof, they gone very shortly afterwards. Because mind you, with Kyle Busch, this exposed an insurance scam. They ain't fucking with that. They don't play that shit. And lastly, both wives partook in black magic, allegedly. There's a video where Kyle Busch's wife mentioned that she had talked to the dead, or her, aka her deceased grandmother, using tarot cards and talking about how she needed to be brave for what's to come, and look what happens.
I felt like a grandmother energy around you, and I felt that very strongly right away. So when I was saying that I usually pray and I open up the angel circle, I always see that your angels and your spirit guides, and then I see our loved ones kind of like right behind them. And usually I can tell the ones that come up right away, just want to we have so much to say. We have so much to say. I felt that very strongly with grandmother energy. And she's saying too, something about just you being brave. She's noting how brave you are, and she's validating that. She is very much that's my girl.
Oh shoot. Now I'm gonna cry.
She is so deeply proud of you. When did she pass?
2009.
Okay, so she didn't meet the 2 kids here.
No.
She did on the other side. 100%. And I feel like she was definitely helping with that journey.
Kind of like how Kobe's wife was viewed as being so brave for how she was handling the passing of Kobe ever since, and all these appearances. And I'm sure Samantha Busch is going to make a whole bunch of media appearances just like Kobe's wife did too. I'm going to say this. As a fan of NASCAR, I never liked Kyle Busch as a driver, but I respected the talent that he had, and I loved his paint schemes. All those M&M's, Skittles, combos, all the candy-themed paint schemes he had, the shit was fire. Even the green lightning bolt interstate battery scheme, that shit was hard as hell. I will say he was one of them ones in NASCAR, very polarizing. This is back when drivers had personality. One of the last OGs. The only ones left now is Brad Keselowski, Denny Hamlin, and Joey Logano. That's really about it. Whenever he went to Joe Gibbs Racing, he went on a tear. That's when he really started to level up, because he was going on a tear in all 3 series: trucks, Xfinity, Cup Series. It got to a point that people was tired of him racing in Xfinity and truck because he kept winning in those series. It's like you clearly better than everybody else. Let somebody else win, and they had to change the rules and limit the times that Cup guys would start in those series. There's also the Kyle Busch rule in NASCAR because Kyle Busch started the Cup Series at 17 years old. They changed it to 18, so now you have to be 18 years old to actually be considered a rookie in the Cup Series. He was very similar to Dale Sr. in the approach, the don't give a fuck attitude. Kyle Busch did whine a little bit more. But other than that, that same I'm going to drive you aggressively, do whatever it takes to win. If you don't like it, it is what it is attitude. Very similar to Dale Sr. in that aspect. The one thing I will say that I always side on more than anything is that 2015 championship. This is crazy. He missed the first 11 races of the season. Again, Denny Hamlin's number. After suffering a broken leg in the Xfinity Series race at Daytona to start the season. He finished that season, the Cup Series, that is, with 5 wins. Again, that number 5. He got hot during the summer and the playoffs to win that championship. And it was Jeff Gordon's final full-time season. And Jeff's last season driving the 24 car. And to this day, I'm still salty about that shit. I think Gordon should have won that championship. They hold him. It would have been a much better story that one of the all-time greats goes out on top as the champion, rides off in the sunset, and then he do his little Fox announcing thing and then do what he does with Hendrick Motorsports now. But it is what it is. The point system back then was insane, even more so than it was over the past few years. This man was in 38th in points. 38th, missed 11 races, essentially a third of the season, and somehow makes the postseason. But I digress. He finished with 63 Cup Series wins all time, 69 Truck Series, which he's the all-time leader in Truck Series wins, 102 O'Reilly/Xfinity Series wins, which he, again, is the all-time leader. And he's currently 9th all-time in Cup Series wins with 63. Denny Hamlin is in 10th at 61, 2 behind Kyle, which most likely he will pass him this season, if not tie. And you know they're going to do a whole tribute/ritual. He going to have his flag, the number 18, the 5, the 8, whatever the fuck it is, on the flag doing his burnouts. He going to have an emotional post-race interview where he crying and shit, where he honored Kyle Busch. It's going to be a whole thing. Just watch. I promise you. Kyle also had 2 Cup Series championships, 2015 and 2019. 1 Xfinity Series in 2009, and 7 Truck Series championships as an owner, not as a driver, for Kyle Busch Motorsports. He'll forever be a legend in NASCAR, future Hall of Famer. And again, one of the last OGs, man. It's crazy. Kyle Busch gone from NASCAR while he was on the downturn of his career, too. That's what's most fucked up. He didn't even get to see any real success after he went to RCR besides, 1 to 2 wins? Other than that, it was a shell of Kyle Busch. That fucking sucks. RP to Kyle Busch. Like, comment, subscribe, ring the notification bell. Drink water, wear condoms. Be safe this weekend because you know 12 gonna be out and all that. But we out, man.